Today I'm going to show you a recipe of mine that is an Asian style meatloaf, and it's pretty healthy, and you can change it up a little bit. So my recipe is a little bit different from my mom's. She usually keeps certain things in there. She has a limited number of things in there that she's kind of keeps her recipe the same, but I like to change it up. So here I have some chopped onion. You can have red onion. I just happen to have white onion on hand. Some chopped up, minced up garlic, and some chopped spring onions, green onions. And here I have ground turkey, salt, about a teaspoon, a pinch of black pepper, about a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half of soy sauce, and I have 4 eggs, but I might add a couple more eggs in here. And I'm going to add the previous ingredients, the garlic, green onions, and the onions. Now my mom makes it without the onions because the onions have a lot of water in them, and it'll dilute down this meatloaf and make it kind of like too soft. And so my mom makes it pretty plain. She does keep the green onions in there, and she uses pork. So in this case I don't have pork at home. I have ground turkey. If you use beef, it's possible, but we've never tried it, and beef tends to be a little bit more what's the word, like how turkey is smoother, and then pork is a little bit less smooth than this, then beef would be kind of like a rougher textured meat, like American meatloaf. Now I've added all the ingredients in here, and I'm going to stir it up, mix it up, and see what the consistency is, whether or not it is too moist or if it's just right. So I just stir it a little bit with a fork, and so it was actually probably the perfect consistency before with the 4 eggs, but I just decided to add 2 more eggs because it's going to be the binder that holds all the ingredients together. So I added 2 more eggs and another teaspoon and a half of soy sauce, just to make sure it's salty enough, because it's usually served over rice. Or alternatively, you could put in, rinse out some clear glass noodles, and then just stick them in there raw into this mixture and stir it together. And then when you steam it, it simultaneously cooks the noodles the clear noodles as well as the meat and everything else, because we're gonna steam this in a steam bath. So I've stirred it and everything, and so in total it was 6 eggs, half an onion, some green onions, and about 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, salt and pepper, a dash of each, 3 teaspoons of soy sauce. And you could use ground turkey, ground pork. You could try it with ground beef, but I have not tried that yet. And my mom's version, and sometimes I add carrots, but I don't have carrots on hand that are diced or minced. And basically it gives it a lovely orange color, and then the green. And it's really kid friendly to eat like with rice, so kids love it, especially when they're really young, because it breaks apart into small pieces. It's pretty tender, and it's flavorful, and they could eat it with the rice. And my mom's version doesn't include the onions, and hers is very plain and a little bit drier, and however it still tastes good. And this is perfect because I'm making lunch for my kids after school. Even though they have lunch at school, it's not very filling. It's like small little portions, and they don't have enough time to eat as well. So I just I'm preparing it so that the hungry kiddos can have something to eat after school. So here is my water bath. It's just a pan that's about 3 inches deep, and it has water in it, and I'm gonna add the Pyrex container with all the ingredients. So I love this because it's so easy. I cook directly into the Pyrex container and serve directly from the Pyrex container. So I just have to wash that and this pan here, which is so easy. I just dump the water out, and it's a quick, easy wash. Nothing sticky. I love that. So I've placed the Pyrex container directly into this water bath, and I put the lid on, and I set it to high, and I'm gonna let it start to boil. And when it boils, when you hear it kind of clacketing around in there, you can let it boil for about 10 minutes on high, and then after that lower the temperature, or 5 minutes, and then lower the temperature to medium high and let it sit for another 20 minutes. And that way it ensures that the meat is cooked and the egg kind of steams and cooks in there with it. And we shall be back in about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay guys, it's been 25 minutes. So it's very highly cooked. It was boiling and bubbling, so I know it's cooked. And some of the water actually went in there because this isn't the normal lid to this pan, but that's okay. You can pour it out into the sink or whatnot, but my husband already broke into it before I could show what it looks like. So some of this stuff right here, some of the stuff right here is just the egg, so it looks a little funky, but it really tastes really good. So give this recipe a try. And you know what I just thought of? Adding mushrooms in there, it would be fantastic. So here is the meatloaf mixed and stirred in homogeneously with the rice, and every bite you have a taste of all the flavors, and it's delicious. Hope you give it a try.
It's tasty.
Hi folks, so here I have a Asian green vegetable. It is in the brassica family. It's Asian broccoli, known as gailan, Gailan, and it tastes really delicious. It has a great crunch in the stem. The stem can be eaten. Sometimes it's kind of a little bit rough at the bottom, and you can just chop it off about an inch off. And if it's too fibrous, you can just peel off the outer skin and have more to eat. But for the most part, like this right here, once you've cooked it, it's perfect. It'll be the perfect consistency. It's not like asparagus where you end up losing like quite a bit of the stem before you can have an edible part. So so it comes like this, and it's very much like the branches on the broccoli and stuff like that. And we eat everything, the the leaves, the younger stems, and the thicker stem. So today I'm going to cut these apart so that it'll make it easier to wash. and then I'll wash it afterwards. Now I've triple washed and separated all the branches off of the stems, and I have the stems in here as well, the thick stems. And I'm going to proceed to cut them, and I'll show you. You just cut them diagonally in thin cuts, cross sections, and then same here. Similarly, you cut off the hard stem and you leave the soft areas, and you separate the leafy parts from the stem parts, so that when you cook them, it takes longer to cook the stems than the leaves. So you add this into the heat first, and then towards the end you add the leafy portion. So this is how I cut the leafy portion. I take it, I fold it in half, and I just cut out the spine, and you can leave the leaf like that, or you can just cut it in half, and then you cut the stems like this. So let me show you again. And then with the stalks, this is what I do. I just cut it, slice it in diagonals all the way to the end, and that goes with the thicker pile. So the leafy pile of leaves go together and the thicker stems go together, and these cook first into the pan. And I have some minced garlic here, and then I'm going to cut some sweet Chinese sausages. And because it's sweet, you don't add any type of sugar, and just salt, so it'll be sweet coming from the Chinese sausages. Some garlic, you can add onions, and then the Chinese broccoli, the gailan, which lends a slightly bitter taste, not super bitter like bitter melon, and it's just the great marrying of flavors together. Hello folks, so here is the Chinese sausage, and I cut them diagonally, about 5 sausages, a package of Chinese sausages. I like the California brand. You can find those at most Asian Chinese markets or something like that. And they are a little bit fatty, as you can see the white in there, but that's what I'm going to do, is stir fry the sausages first and render the fat out, and then you could pour out the fat if you don't want it, and then that way you don't have to add oil, and it's not very greasy, and it's red because the seasoning is used in the meat. And so be careful not to cook them too long or too high heat, because they'll burn really quickly. So I'm going to start by cooking the sausage first, and then after that I'll pour the fat out, then I'll add the garlic, then I will add the thick stems of broccoli, or gailan, but you can substitute it with broccoli if you don't have gailan. And you could substitute the meats as well. You could do shrimp or pork or chicken slices, and then you add the leafy parts after. Salt, pepper, soy sauce, and you're good to go. And a little bit of cornstarch to thicken the sauce. So here it is.